The Andaz Pattaya is one of the top 5 resorts that I've visited since I started the channel that truly surprised me in the absolute best of ways. Join me for this full tour and I'll tell you all about it. If you're new to the channel, hi there, I'm Kevin the Flip Flop Traveler. If there's one thing that I want you to know about my videos, it's that my opinions are honest and my own. If you'd like to know more about the what, how, and why I do what I do, scan the QR code or click the link to learn more. Have a look around the channel, there are hundreds of airline and hotel reviews to enjoy. This beautiful Andaz tour begins now. Pattaya. In the context of Thailand as a whole, Samui, Bangkok, Phuket, Chiang Mai, and more, Pattaya has not exactly had the best reputation over the years for a variety of reasons. And frankly, I was confused when I originally heard that Thailand's first Andaz, a brand that I love, would be here on Jomtien Beach, just to the south of Pattaya. But I'll admit that through perhaps my own ignorance of Pattaya's growing up, along with Andaz's foresight into a market that is still wildly undeveloped as far as true 5-star resorts go, I'll admit that I was wrong. From the outside, the resort doesn't really look like much, but once you pass through the entrance, you are transported to a different world in a way that is more effective here than I've seen in quite a few resorts of the same caliber. Perhaps not ironically, since I first visited the Andaz Bali. Designed by Thai architecture firm A49 along with PIA Interiors, the resort is said to, quote, warmly greet guests with an awe-inspiring rain tree and reflective pond upon arrival within the rain tree court, which is the heart and soul of the resort where travelers can meet, unwind, and socialize, unquote. There's something that I've begun to call palm tree fatigue. The thought that, when you arrive at far too many resorts these days, new resorts, you see 79 odd palm trees and little else in terms of site landscaping. It's not exactly thrilling. But here is so different, and you'll see. The resort is a collection of individual houses and structures, much of which is clad in reclaimed Thai teak. The reception area is just off to the side. When I arrived around 1 p.m., I was surprised frankly at how busy it was. The reception area was totally full and I was brought over to the aptly named Teak Lounge for the check-in process, fully expecting for this to take a bit of time. As I waited, I was brought a really refreshing cinnamon coconut concoction, which I appreciated for not being sickeningly sweet. Within 5 minutes or less, I was being checked in. I had booked a base room, and due to globalist status, I was upgraded to a garden view suite, but it wasn't ready yet. Without missing a beat, the very poised supervisor, I believe, let me know that they'd prepared another room for me to stay in just until the suite was ready. Let's keep in mind this is 2 hours before check-in time. Status or not, early check-in is never guaranteed, and understandably so. What time would my suite be ready? By 2:30. Still 30 minutes before check-in time. It was honestly a little bit surreal. Status, no status, high rate, low rate, fancy credit card, free nights with points, it doesn't matter. At over 200 hotels that I've stayed at for this channel, I've never been offered a room while they were preparing my room, which would be ready before room check-in was supposed to take place to begin with. To say they came out swinging would be an understatement. I'll give you a peek at the room that I was waiting in before my full suite tour a bit later. For now, first let me explain a bit about where we are and show you the layout of the property. Pattaya is to the southeast of Bangkok, and in all likelihood, if you're visiting, you'll be driving from Bangkok. From Suvarnabhumi Airport, it's a 90-minute drive. I came from the city center and it took 2 hours for an $80 Grab premium car. When I returned to Suvarnabhumi in a regular Grab, it was just under $50. Note that any Grab or taxi in Bangkok will take you here. At least they should. There is a small airport south of the city, but it only has 4 or 5 flights a day with very limited connections. The most exciting of which is surprisingly to Dubai, a route on Fly Dubai. Here we can see the actual layout. It's a former residence and is a long and narrow property. I'll be honest, it's usually a shape that does not lend itself to fantastic resorts in my experiences. Too often, I think designers try to break up the space to make it feel bigger in some way, but here felt very different. The property is surrounded by rooms and facilities in low-slung structures, and the center of the site is simply the artery linking the entrance to the beach. Furthest away from the beach is a group of rooms surrounding this, the first of 3 pools on property. 2 of the pools include lagoon access for a limited number of rooms. As some of you may know, this is the sibling property to the Andaz in Bali, which I've made 2 videos about and love just as much as this one. They're linked in the description. Same designers, same concept, different styling and landscaping. The property is said to be, quote, surrounded by mature landscape gardens with conserved century-old trees. The distinctively local yet modern design of the resort is inspired by the site's history as a private estate, unquote. While walking around, there were almost some Japanese ryokan qualities that I would get from the mix of architecture with its free-flowing gardens and water features. Near the middle of the property is the only thing on site which I'm not really a fan of design-wise. This pool here, especially on the other side, which I'll show you in a bit near the kids' pool, it just seems to stick out like a sore thumb in a way that no other elements in this entire resort do. Perhaps after some years of growing in, it'll be a bit better. I'm nitpicking, but it is worth mentioning. And here you can see the other side, with the kids club and the water park area. When it comes to Thailand, I've got you covered. If you're planning a trip to Thailand, check out my Thailand playlist above and in the description. This Andaz will be the 28th video to be added to that list of luxury hotels and resorts from Bangkok, Samui, and Phuket. And I still have 5 or 6 more coming this year from Krabi and Phuket. Let's head down to the beach. I'm going to let the resort speak for itself here. One big problem, and it honestly frustrates me because this simply did not need to exist, are the walking paths. Like I said, these paths are the central artery of the resort, and they have these random steps in them. Steps that, in theory, are not necessary whatsoever. Perhaps the resort has a way around this behind the scenes, but it does seem like one of the most blatantly unfriendly mobility designs that I've seen in quite a while. Give it a year, I can almost guarantee you that these will all be covered in ramps. Down in front of the beach is the beautiful infinity pool along with one of the restaurants, the Fish Club. All of the sand on the beach was fairly compacted, but it was spotless and very family-friendly with its small surf. So, how's the video so far? Enjoying it? So if you are, go ahead and click the like button. It's just right up there, you see it? Yeah, okay, good. Okay, clicking that button and subscribing really is the best way to support a channel at no cost to you. But some people are happy to spend, and who am I to judge what makes you happy? So, I do also have a Patreon and channel memberships for you to check out if you'd like. Whatever you choose, thanks very much for watching, and if you have any constructive feedback, questions, or glowing reviews, as always, leave them in the comments. One of the more unique elements of the resort is Rum Thai, which is a traditional tea house serving afternoon tea. I'm a bit embarrassed to admit that I thought this was an accommodation. A specialty villa I didn't know about, or something, since I always saw the same guest sitting outside of it. Okay, let's go head to my suite, but first a quick peek at what would be a standard room. I'm not sure I've ever seen a regular room which had 2 separate living spaces in it. 3 of them, if you include the balcony. Overall, it's a beautiful room, and I'd not be disappointed for a moment if I was given this one. This was an accessible room. Ironic, I guess, so the bathroom layout is different. Okay, let's go check out the main event. I was on the 2nd floor. Most of the garden view suites are all up here, with similarly sized pool suites on the ground floor below them. Walking inside, you're immediately in the living space with a large sofa, dining table, and wet bar area. Great full setup minibar, and this being Andaz, everything you see is free. As we look around, I'll put up the extra bits. The suite is a bath and a half, and the half is just inside the front door. The resort was just opened in January of 2023, and so I'm sure its 204 rooms were all still in great condition. But can I show you one tiny detail from my first room, which I think says more about the management of this hotel than anything else? Stuff happens. I presume this was a cigarette burn on this cushion. It's been patched. I know how small of a detail is, but that is exactly the point. No one would have flinched if there was a cigarette burn in the cushion, because we've all seen it before. But here, they had the consideration to actually repair it. Not something that you'd normally see at a sub $300 per night room. I forgot to mention, this was also booked quite uniquely. It's like I combined all of the different forces into one reservation. One night was a free night certificate, and the second night was through Amex Fine Hotels and Resorts. I contacted the resort beforehand to ensure that the reservations would be merged and to keep the same room on just one bill. Everything was fine. It speaks for itself well, but I really did appreciate all of the small details like the woven wall behind the bed, a motif that continues throughout the property. In between the living and bedroom and the bedroom and bathroom, there's also a clever pass-through slat design that allows you to open and close the space. And finally, we have the bathroom, some details of which I enjoyed so much I took photos to remember for my own place. A reminder that deep red tile work isn't always a mistake in the making. Also loved the Panpori products, something that I don't see that often. Last time I think was at the Vanabelle in Samoy. And finally, we have the open plan walk-in closet, which can be accessed from the living room or the bathroom. The balcony is kinda like all-star level, mostly because of the lush landscaping all around it. It was a perfect mix of feeling open to the landscaping while also having a bit of privacy. Okay, let's head to dinner at the Fish Club, which was open for lunch and dinner. To start out, I had the hamachi ceviche, which was just as beautiful as at the Andaz in Bali, and nearly as good, 8.8 out of 10. For my main, I ordered another appetizer, which were charcoal grilled crab cakes. The flavor was good, refreshed by the pomelo on the side, but the texture was a little bit gummy, 7 out of 10. To accompany that, I had the grilled halloumi with pomegranate and hazelnuts. This was actually a side dish that could easily be a nice lunch. This was a 9 out of 10. The next night, I had dinner at the Village Square. This is a similar concept to the Andaz Bali, except I think here the layout is better executed. The central square here is a garden, which I actually saw cooks go to multiple times just to pick some herbs. It's surrounded by 3 restaurants, Wak Wak, La Cucina, and The Butcher, Asian, Italian, and Steakhouse, respectively. I ate at the latter. Service and attention to detail was superb at all points throughout my stay, with the servers being especially attentive. Things started out with some really good garlic bread, 9 out of 10. Then I had a Caesar, which had to be the best Caesar that I've had since the Intercontinental in Phuket, 9.6 out of 10. After that, I had a burger, which, don't tell them, but was much better than the burger at the Park Hyatt in Bangkok. But that's just a matter of taste. 9 out of 10 here, and just look at how nicely lined up those fries are. My OCD is going to upgrade this to a 9.3 just for that. At night, the entire resort transforms. You might stop at the beautiful teak lounge for a drink, or perhaps just admire the beautifully lit rain tree in all of its glory. The next morning, we head back to the village square for breakfast. All three of the restaurants serve a mixed buffet and a la carte menu together. At Wak Wak, you'll find the Asian buffet, at La Cucina, the pastries and such, and at the Butcher's, the Western buffet. It was a comprehensive experience, if not a bit fussy to need to walk between three restaurants to visit the entire buffet. I asked for some sliced mango, and tell me that's not the most photogenic plate of mango that you've seen today. Here's the a la carte menu and a few things that I tried. Eggs Benedict were impressive, with well-toasted buns, though not English muffins. 8.1 out of 10. The French toast was a solid offering, with a nicely balanced vanilla cream and a comically small amount of maple syrup. 7.9 out of 10. The highlight for me was the Thai-style omelet. When made correctly, always one of my favorites. 9 out of 10. Overall, we're coming in at number 43, and excuse the formatting as I tried to figure out the best way to keep this list going with an ever-expanding number of hotels on it. As we look around the spa and fitness center, let me offer my overall thoughts. Not unlike the Bali property, this place is all about the atmosphere. In the rooms, outside, at the pool, in the restaurants, every moment is about everything that's around you. When you start getting into more niche but mainstream lifestyle brands, Andaz I think being one of them, you realize that their formula doesn't always translate perfectly in all types of markets. But having now stayed at 8 or 9 of them, it's clear to me that they do best in Southeast Asia, especially at these resorts. There are currently 29 Andaz properties open with a further 18 in the pipeline, and I think the brand fits very well with Hyatt. In fact, just yesterday from the day I'm recording this, Hyatt announced that they're buying Standard Hotels, so this is definitely a big growth market for them. But there is one thing I would love to see from them that I think they haven't done yet. A jungle or mountain resort. Think Ubud, Chiang Mai, Shimla, Sapa. It could be a really special spot. That said, I am excited for some of the ones that are yet to open, most specifically Bangkok and Goa. So that said, this really packed a punch in Pattaya, when they could have frankly gotten away with a lot less, and I love this place even more because of that. Pattaya is not generally a fly to the other side of the world destination, but if you're in Bangkok and feel like you don't have time to add a completely separate Phuket or Samui stop, this might be a great choice for you. I really do hope that you enjoyed the video today. If you did, be sure to click that like button and subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss out on my twice weekly videos. I'll see you next time for an installment of my Roots and Hub series on Bhutan Airlines, but not flying to Bhutan. Oh, and as always, thanks for watching until the end.